śila-uñchaḥ iti vai sāvitram prājāpatyam ca sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brāhmam cātha bṛhat tathā brāhmam cātha bṛhat tathā. It's not cātha, it's cātha. Vārtā sañcaya-śālīna vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brāhmam cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brāhmam cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe. Please repeat. brāhmaṁ cātha bṛhat tathā śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brāhmam cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brāhmam cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brāhmam cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brāhmam cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe. Word-to-word translation. Sāvitram, thread ceremony of the twice born. Prājāpatyam, to execute the vow for 1 year. Cha, and brāhmam, acceptance of the Vedas. Cha, and atha, also bṛhat, complete abstinence from sex life. Tathā, then vārtā, Vocation in terms of Vedic sanction. Sañcaya, professional duty. Śālīna, livelihood without asking anyone for cooperation. Śila-uñchaḥ, picking up rejected grains. Iti, thus. Vai, even though. Gṛhe, in household life. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Then the thread ceremony for the twice-born was inaugurated, as were the rules to be followed for at least 1 year after acceptance of the Vedas. Rules for observing complete abstinence from sex life, vocations in terms of Vedic injunctions, various professional duties in household life, and the method of maintaining a livelihood without anyone's cooperation by picking up rejected grains. During student life, the brahmacharis were given full instructions about the importance of the human form of life. Thus, the basic education was designed to encourage the student in becoming free from family encumbrances. Only students who were unable to accept such a vow in life were allowed to go home and marry a suitable wife. Otherwise, the student would remain a permanent brahmachari, observing complete abstinence from sex life for his whole life. It all depended on the quality of the student's training. We had the opportunity to meet an avowed brahmachari in the personality of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad, Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. Such a great soul is called a Naishthika brahmachari. Text 43. Vaikānasa valakhilyo dhumbharah phena pavane nyase kutichakah purvam bhakvo dohamsa nishkriyau. The 4 divisions of retired life are the Vaikānasas, the Valakhilyas, Audambaras, and Phenapas. The 4 divisions of the renounced order of life are the Kutichakas, Bhakvodas, Hamsas, and Nishkriyas. All of these were manifested from Brahma. Purport. The Varnashram Dharma, or the institution of the 4 divisions and orders of social and spiritual life, is not a new invention of the modern age, as proposed by the less intelligent. It is an institution established by Brahma from the beginning of the creation. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4.13. Chatur varnam maya shrishtam. Om ajnanatimidandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaf Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalitha Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Prabhum Vande Balopi Yattat Anugraha Tare Nana Matagraha Vyaptam Siddhanta Sagaram. Madgavir api Gopala Shri Kuryat Kripaya Yadi Tadai Vamsa Payaf Pitva Hrishye Shustat Priyajanaha. Sāvitram prājāpatyam cha brāhmam cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe. Then the thread ceremony for the twice-born was inaugurated, as were the rules to be followed for at least 1 year after acceptance of the Vedas. Rules for observing complete abstinence from sex life, vocations in terms of Vedic injunctions, various professional duties in household life, and the method of maintaining a livelihood without anyone's cooperation by picking up rejected grains. So, here, actually these 2 verses describe the divisions of of the ashrama system. So the spiritual order has brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha and sannyas, but within them there are 4 divisions in each of those categories. And those 16 divisions are being described here. Srila Prabhupada, we will address what Srila Prabhupada has stated in his purport first, in his classical way, without getting too much into technical details. This is Prabhupada's characteristic in the way he writes his purports compared to the previous acharyas who would comment on more technical details. Srila Prabhupada has given commentary in a manner that is most relevant to his readers, including ourselves. So Prabhupada speaks about brahmacharya in this purport, even though this verse actually addresses brahmacharya and grihastha life. 4 divisions of brahmacharya and 4 divisions of grihastha life are described in this verse. Srila Prabhupada sticks to brahmacharya in his purport and gives the essence of brahmachari life, which is education about the importance of human form of life and to develop love of God and to go back home, back to Godhead. This is basically the purpose of brahmachari life. This was discussed by Mitravan Prabhu in his last class, where he was explaining how the brahmachari ashram is primarily meant for education. It is an educational phase of life. And how that after one is a brahmachari, there is not much education. So, Srila Prabhupada says that a student is encouraged to become free from family encumbrances. Only students unable to accept such a vow in life were allowed to go home and marry a suitable wife. So, the standard brahmachari training is that everyone is discouraged from getting married. Although it does go front and like if you look in the brahmachari reader, there are I'll show one. Oh, I don't know if I can pull it up. Let's see. Prabhupada in his letters, he says, this is biographical works, letters, yes. Okay. If we can make sex life nil, we are 50% liberated. This is from a letter in 1968. 50% liberated. But then Prabhupada also says, unless, this is a letter from 1968, unless our brahmacharis are very adamant to remain as brahmachari, I shall recommend everyone to marry. But if one can live as brahmachari, that is better. So it goes both ways. The brahmachari is said, stay brahmachari. As Maharaj also says in his recent lecture, his best advice for young men is don't get married. But the brahmachari has to be adamant to do that. You're not, Prabhupada uses that word, adamant. It's almost like, because he says, I shall recommend everyone to marry, means that, get married. No. I want to stay brahmachari, which it is kind of like, it seems a little contrary, because all the while you hear how the brahmachari is supposed to be subservient to the guru. He's supposed to be listening to the guru, dasavan nicho, right? Brahmachari gurukule vasandanta guror hitam, and then acharya dasavan nicho. So that you have to be dasavan, acharya dasavan. So how is it when the guru is saying that I should get married, I should be adamant? Well, because you have to understand the purpose of brahmachari training. It is actually that, and we can see this in our own lives, it's very interesting, that for the first, like until, even after you attain puberty, you don't really have much of a, now today's sexual promiscuous culture, it's really bad. People, kids think of sex even before they have the ability to think. So let's not think of that. But if you think of a natural environment where such promiscuity is not there, where this overt focus on sex life is not there, they don't even understand what happened to them. They don't understand. That's how innocent generally kids and children are. So for several years, easily for the first 12, 10 to 12 years, you don't think of. You don't think that you need to have a family. You don't think of money. You don't think of money until much later, actually, until you're forced to think of money. You still don't, even when you're a teenager, it doesn't really occur that you need to maintain yourself with money. And we can see in our own lives, if we analyze ourselves, we got good food, we got shelter, we have clothing, we have something to engage ourselves in. Why do we need anything more? We don't actually need anything more. You're maintained, and now it's time to focus on being Krishna conscious. Be Krishna conscious and go back home, back to Godhead. If one can grasp that and understand that, then there is actually no need to get married. The need is in the mind. And when that need manifests in a brahmachari in a way that can become sinful or become sinful, then he is advised to get married so that he can regulate his sense gratification. As Prabhupada stated in the previous purport, householder life is meant for gratifying the senses. It doesn't mean unrestricted, because it's not meant to be so. Therefore, Prabhupada, after stating that, again he states this in this purport, that only students unable to accept such a vow in life were allowed to go home and marry a suitable wife. So anyways, and if you, there's some more interesting quotes here. Prabhupada says in 1960, I always recommend that one should remain brahmachari if possible. I am very pleased with your wish to remain as a brahmachari, and if you stick to your decision, you will be able to go back home, back to Godhead, in this very life without waiting for another birth. Please try in every way to stick to this principle and simply engage yourself in Krishna's service. That will protect you from any act of Maya. This is a very important point here. Prabhupada states, Maya can take Krishna's place in our heart as soon as there is slackness on our part. It's almost rhyming here. Maya can take Krishna's place in our heart as soon as there is slackness on our part. So, Hare Krishna. Otherwise, if Krishna is seated always, Maya has no opportunity to occupy the seat. Try to follow this method and you will surely be successful. So, that's where most brahmacharis kind of lose it, is you slacken. And it's very easy to slack. Very easy to slacken, because there's so many reasons to slacken. There's reasons that, whatever, we become tired, we become sleepy, and then the phone is there, and everything is there, and everything is so accessible, and mind goes away and gets carried away, and so that temptation. The main thing is, when a brahmachari is very, very attentive to not waste time, then they're safe. And you'll see, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj or Guru Maharaj in his laptop is screen saver. What is that? Wallpaper. His wallpaper is, life is short, don't waste time. It's not even a directly scriptural quote or anything like that. It's just, and it has a saffron background, a color. So, It's now blue? It's changed? He inverted the colors. Oh, he inverted the colors, but it's actually saffron. And because it's his eyes, but he's inverted the colors, but it's a saffron background. I know, because I designed it for him. And he's had it since then. It's like this, the same font and everything. So, and that's also, I was thinking, Maharaj is so simple. I designed this for him like 10 years ago, almost 9 years ago. This is the same wallpaper, same font, same color. Why do you need to change it? And everything is fine. So a brahmachari thinks everything is fine. Everything, same way I get up in the morning, same way I dress, same way I look. I don't try to. This is satisfied life. Satisfied, busy, not wasting time in Krishna's service. Means material desires are. He understands this. I have to curb these material desires. I want this, I want that. But we get tempted. Oh, what about that? Latest thing, latest phone or whatever. we become tempted. And one brahmachari gets a fancy, sweater that's saffron. Oh, I wish I could have that fancy. It looks nice. I also want a saffron. I want a saffron, shoe or something like that. No. When you need a shoe, you get a shoe. And if you get it saffron, great. But, it's just simple. Simple. Nothing to be very complicated about. They dress the same way. They walk the same way, talk the same way. And that's just their life, and that's it. And they're not trying, because they're not trying to impress the opposite sex. So there's no improvement in terms of material. And to voluntarily cultivate that mood, that is brahmachari life. And at least for some time, one should try to cultivate that mood. Because otherwise, grahastha ashram is just uncontrolled. So, some other quotes here. Okay. My open advice is that if anyone can remain brahmachari, it is very nice, but there is no need for artificial brahmacharis. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that one who exhibits himself outwardly as self-restrained, but inwardly thinks of sense gratification, he is condemned as mithyachara, which means false pretender. We don't want any false pretenders in numbers. We want a sincere soul. There is no harm in accepting a wife and living without disturbance of the mind, thus sincerely advancing in Krishna consciousness. So then, that is the point that's stated here, that students unable to accept such a vow. So there is some time one should try and give one's best shot. But if one is thinking so much of sense gratification inside, it's going to start manifesting outside. So a brahmachari is astute in fighting that inside. It's a constant battle. It's an everyday battle. And therefore, Prabhupada says here, it all depended on the quality of the student's training. What is that student training? So more quotes, also from this book actually. Anyways, I pulled it up here. A brahmachari, from the very beginning of life, he is trained to act only for Guru. It's too small. Sorry. Is it better? Now I lost it. Yeah. No. No, it's after this. Oh, yeah, okay. It's up. A brahmachari is trained up from the very beginning how to become a sannyasi at the end of life. This is not just for Naishtika brahmacharis. It is actually meant for everyone. Everybody has to be trained as a sannyasi. And that is the whole point. We all men should aspire to take sannyas at some point. It is that is the brahmachari training, is that someday I will become sannyasi. How he is trained up? He is trained up to collect for Guru alms. He is trained up in that way that although he has collected everything, but he does not claim anything. He does not keep anything with him. Even though he has to eat in the ashram, but he will eat upon the calling of the Guru. My dear such and such, please come and take your prasadam. So, collecting for Guru's alms. This is why, in the modern context, every brahmachari should go on book distribution. At least sometime they should be trained on book distribution. Otherwise, you never learn for collecting for the Guru. But it's not what we like to do. So we should collect. And that Srila Prabhupada has done this amazing system whereby you can distribute books. And by distributing books, you benefit other people by giving them the highest knowledge. You give them Krishna. This is so amazing. It's not just going and collecting alms. You're just not just going with a bhiksha. This is how it was during Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's time even. Just before Prabhupada, they did distribute magazines, that was also there, but they also had to just go on bhiksha. which just meant straight collection. Devotees had to just go and beg. Because that was traditional brahmachari duty. But Srila Prabhupada has made this amazing system, because in the West, you just go, people will not respect the movement, they won't respect him. So Prabhupada made this in such a manner that devotees go and distribute books, and they collect for the spiritual master. And so it's a very important thing, it's a very important part of that training, that's very essential. Otherwise, we don't develop that attitude of dasava nija. I am going out there, and imagine, devotees are going out on book distribution. Can you think people going out there selling stuff and not expecting anything back? Just going out, just selling stuff, coming back, turning all the money in, and then what? And then you have to lie down on the floor. You sleep on the floor. And also you get chastised. You have to wake up early in the morning. Who will do this? Who will do this? This dasava nichaha, for the Guru's pleasure, for the spiritual master Krishna's pleasure. Go out there, struggle, and I work hard. If from a scholarly point of view, analyze or something, it looks like pure slavery. It was worse than slavery sometimes. I don't think slaves were woken up at 4 a.m. in the morning, So that's that. He doesn't keep. And look at this. He has to eat upon calling. So this means that one has the attitude that whatever is being provided, I'll be content with it. I'm being provided, I'm giving, okay, I have to sleep in this room. Okay, Prabhuji, now you're not sleeping in this room, move to that room, fine. Don't move like that. In my house, in household, everybody has their room. Try to move them out of the room, you'll see what happens. Your families, my bedroom, it's so attached to that bedroom. So, it is said that if the Guru forgets to call him one day, he will not take his food. This is called brahmachari, means strictly following. And they used to call every woman from the beginning of life, mother. This is training, matravat paradhareshu. From the very beginning of life, all women, they are treated as mother. So, this is training. Prabhupada says, this is brahmachari life, voluntarily accepting hardship for making life successful. Such a nice definition. What is brahmachari? Voluntarily accepting hardship for making life successful. Accept hardship. Your life will become successful. But the inclination is to accept comfort. But actually by accepting comfort, one may lose the opportunity for the ultimate success. What is that? We say, what is that? One who is a Vaishnava should try to avoid all these 10 offenses in order to make his life successful, which is attaining Krishna prema. So, that is accepting hardship for making life successful. So, then, sometimes we enjoy subtle pleasure thinking of sex life. That is called nari sangame. Nari means woman and sangha means union. So those who are practiced, so when there is actually no union, they think of union. So Yamunacharya said that not only actually union with women, but if I think of union, tad avadibata nari sangame smaryamane, simply by thinking, bhavati mukha vikarha, immediately I become disgusted. What is that nasty thing? Shushtu nishti, spits. This is perfect. Chuckles. This is perfection. So, we don't have to become discouraged that we sometimes think of sex. When we think of sex, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? That, if we cultivate, not that, we become bewildered by it. No. I think of that. Come on, what is this? Disgusting. Prabhupada says, that is perfection. Yes, as long as we will think of, that is called subtle sex, thinking. They read sex literature, the subtle sex, gross and subtle sex. So one has to become completely free from these lusty desires, not to become implicated, which will never be satisfied, unsatiated, dushpuram. So you think of sex, you spit, but then that's not it. A brahmachari has to be very astute in serving Krishna 24 hours a day. We should not give any time for nonsense. It's not easy. It is a challenge. Mind gets distracted very easily. And like Prabhupada said, you give little room, Maya will sit. You give a little space, then Maya will sit there. So always have Krishna seated in our heart, then Maya will have no room to sit. So very nice Explanation by Srila Prabhupada. Okay, then Maharaj, in his book, in the category of general behavior and disposition of a brahmachari, writes, submission to and friendship with the Guru are the directing principles in the life of a brahmachari. He always tries to avoid doing anything which would displease his Guru, who he worships as a pure representative of Srila Prabhupada and the Guru Parampara. In his dealings with others, he is straightforward and fair, being ever conscious that he is representing his Guru. Thus, a brahmachari is Shushila Sadhavaha, a well-behaved, saintly person. He does not try to draw attention to himself. He is self-satisfied, jolly, and confident, never morose. So naturally, everyone, even the non-devotees, like him. So a brahmachari shouldn't remain morose. It means he's mental. It's okay, you did a mistake, you screwed up, okay, accept the mistake, be humble. Yes, so how should you feel bad about it? You should feel bad enough that you will not repeat it. That's all. Not that you go, oh, how could I do it? How did I do it? How could I have done that? How can I have done it? I'm so, and then you're just morose and you're just becoming depressed. It means there's jolliness is also there. Okay, yes, I'm going to go. And I'm going to go on. I'm going to be confident. I will rectify myself. Why? Because I am eternal servant of Krishna. I am Jiva, spirit, soul. I can rectify myself. I am actually a perfect servant of Krishna in my constitutional position. I do not have material desires or material defects in my constitutional position. And how can I achieve that? By practicing Krishna consciousness, by becoming surrendered to Guru, by following the process of Krishna consciousness. And I will do that. And therefore, you have that sannyas mantra that it's stated. How does it begin? Oh, suddenly it's being spaced out. I noted it down over here. Actually I didn't note it down. It ends in aham tarishyami durantaparam tamo mukundangini nishaiva eva. It's 11th canto. It's chanted by Avanti Brahmana when he takes sannyas. It's a very important verse actually. Suddenly now my memory totally fails. Not a brahmachari. So, so Prabhupada glorifies his spiritual master who's absolutely worthy of glorification because he's an avowed brahmachari. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur never married. He's called, such a great soul is called a Naishtika Brahmachari. Okay, so going to the verse. So there is sāvitram, prājāpatyam, brāhmam and bṛhat. These are the four categories of brahmacharis. Who are these? Savitra brahmachari is the most basic and shortest form of brahmachari. This brahmachari receives the sacred thread and vows to abstain from sex for 3 days. That's all. That is sāvitram. So it's the thread ceremony of the twice born. Is the most basic form. It requires celibacy for minimum 3 days. And it's a symbolic initiation into the disciple of studentship before regular studies begin. How can we actually understand that? This seems contextual in terms of those who actually didn't go through training from Kaumaram Acharayat Prāgyam. Because you can't have sex at Kaumaram. It's not possible. So this is people who didn't go through, later are now surrendering to the spiritual master and they are becoming initiated. So, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, that's what we have today. But traditionally, there were such people and they would be accepted as Savitra Brahmachari because they would not abstain from sex for 3 days. It doesn't mean that they engage in illicit sex after 3 days. It means sex is always going to be illicit, but it more or less means that they're married or that they are going to be married and they have accepted Guru like this. So, they can still be educated. They can always practice the process of Krishna consciousness and become educated, but they are not considered to be the highest categories of brahmacharis. So then you have prājāpatya. The prājāpatya brahmachari is more rigorous. He accepts Upanayanam, the sacred thread. He's given the sacred thread. It means he serves under the Guru. And what does he do? He abstains from sex for at least a year. At least 1 year is the vow. And there in that period there is self-control, greater discipline, focus. So what does it mean 1 year? It means he's not in family life for 1 year. He is a brahmachari. He has not married. And he is living in the ashram of the Guru, but for 1 year. So this is the second class of brahmachari. Third class is the brāhmam or brahma brahmachari. So the brahma brahmachari is the most widely known form of brahmacharya. It lasts for the entire duration of the student's Vedic studies, typically until the age of 25. So this is generally the kaumaram acharet prajña that is glorified. The other two forms of brahmacharya aren't even really glorified. They are there because everybody needs to have an opportunity to reform themselves. So most of the devotees who join today, you can say that we are trying to be prājāpatya brahmacharis at best. Because we didn't do kaumaram acharet prajña. And we are trying to abstain from sex at least a year, and if not more. But we don't still fall under the category of the brahma brahmachari, because that person, entire student life, means Gurukul. From the age of 5 till 25, he was in the Gurukula and being trained in rigorous Vedic studies. So this path, complete commitment to celibacy, serving one's teacher Guru while mastering the Vedas and other scriptures. Upon completion, the student can choose to enter the grahastha household stage of life. Why the prājāpatya? It's very interesting. The prājāpatya brahmachari is not said to become master of scriptures, because we're trying to. Our brains are already half dull, or more or less dull. We're trying to grasp something. If we learn something in scripture, it's like, oh wow, it's like very learned, very amazing devotee. I can't even quote a shloka that I just saw yesterday, and something that I've recited multiple times. I don't have the brain to recite it. So, it's Etam sa asthaya paratma nishtam adhyasitam purvatamair maharshibhi aham tarishyami durantaparam tamo mukundangri nishevayaiva. So wonderful verse. You can look it up later if you like. It's in 11th canto. What's the verse number? 11:23:57. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted this when he took sannyas. I was going to refer to it later. Let's see. I don't know if I have the time. So this person learns really surrendered Guru. This is a very, very high class of person. He's very fixed up, master and he's very renounced, and he may get married, but even after he gets married, this person is a very elevated soul. Then you have the bṛhat brahmacharya. Bṛhat means great vow, or naishtika. So this brahmachari is known as naishtika brahmachari, lifelong commitment to celibacy and studentship. A bṛhat brahmachari renounces the option of marriage and householder life, instead dedicating their entire existence to spiritual pursuits, serving their guru and the study of Brahman. This is considered the most heroic and profound form of the vow. The great sage Narada and the 4 Kumaras are examples of Naishtika Brahmachari. Therefore, Prabhupada is glorifying his Guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is on the level of Sri Narada and the Sanat Kumaras. Okay, going to the 4 types of grahasthas. You have the vārtā, sañcaya-śālīna and śiloñcha. So, what are they? You have the vārtā, sañcaya-śālīna, śiloñcha and śila-uñchaḥ. Wait, something is mixed up. Oh no, you have vārtā, sañcaya-śālīna and śiloñcha. Right, I was right. So vārtā is vocation in terms of Vedic sanction, sañcaya professional duty, śālīna livelihood without asking anyone for cooperation, śila-uñchaḥ picking up rejected grain. So what is this? So you have vārtā. These are householders who engage in professions and occupations, different kinds of occupations, whatever, different kinds of duties, different kinds of occupations, just regular household life, right? They are not sinful, regular household life, which means in the vārtā category, you have the different varnas, engage in different occupations, different categories, whatever, you have vārtā. Then you have sañcaya. Sañcaya, Prabhupada tribes as professional duty. So these individuals not only earn, but they also accumulate wealth. They are known to accumulate wealth and resources. Why? They are focused on building and saving for the future, often for their families and descendants. This is a little better form of household life. Why? Because they are little responsible to save some money, save some wealth, and they also save for their descendants, and they also save, if they are Krishna conscious, they do what Rupa Goswami did, which is to donate 50% of one's savings. And they plan for this. But when I renounce my family life, I will donate a significant amount. And so this is called, and why are these people? They also plan so that they can renounce. Because they have enough resources, they can give their wife, they give their children, they give something, and then they're able to renounce. They're able to go away. They don't feel that I need to stay and work. Now the vārtā, he doesn't think about any of these things. He just works day after day after day, just works. He doesn't really, not very spiritual. He just works, just maintains. At least he's not living sinful life, he's living within married life, so okay, but not very elevated. Then you have the sañcaya. Then you have the śālīna. Śālīna are those who are content and do not actively ask anything from others. They maintain a simple, self-sufficient lifestyle, finding joy in what they have without seeking more. So this is śālīna, livelihood without asking anyone for cooperation. So in one sense there is a similarity between this and the vārtā. What is the similarity between this and the vārtā? You're not accumulating. So this person also doesn't save anything for his descendants. He also has children. He doesn't save anything. Why? Because he's renounced. The vārtā person is not renounced. His fate is that he's poor. He doesn't know how to make, or he has too many desires that he can't save money. But the śālīna, he voluntarily accepts a content life. Devotees who are living on the farm have to at least be śālīna, grihasthas. You have to be content. You're not going to ask others for anything. Oh, can I do this? Can I? He's offering to give me money if I go and work. It's just simple. Are your needs provided for? Okay. You have a place to live? Okay. That's it. This is śālīna. It's a higher level of grihastha. And then, what about descendants? Well, I will do my basic duty and Krishna will take care. Like he's taking care of me, he'll take care of them. This is advanced grihastha. Now, the fourth category of grihastha is really, really advanced, is śiloñcha, picking up rejected grains. This is the most austere form of householder life. These individuals live by collecting grains and resources left behind in the fields after a harvest, living a life of extreme simplicity and minimal possessions. These people are basically, they just go around, they don't even beg, they don't beg, but what do? They just go and pick up grains from the field that have been left after a harvest. And then they collect that, they store that, and then that's what they eat. Sudama is a good example. He just, is very, very renounced people. Extremely, these are very elevated souls. And so my thing, how could somebody become a grihastha if he's like that? Well, multiple scenarios can lead to that. One scenario we can think of is that these householders became elevated within their grihastha life. And then they became so elevated that they decided to just live like this. It's a possibility. And that's a śiloñcha. Very elevated grihastha. In today's world, it's practically impossible. In today's life, these kind of austerities can be exhibited by devotees who are living on Krishna conscious farm communities and propagating Srila Prabhupada's mission by being extremely dedicated to that and showing a level of renunciation that is even inspiring to the brahmacharis who are living on such a farm. And even sannyasis. These householders are they are practically like sannyasis. Almost. Okay, next verse describes 4 categories of vanaprasthas and 4 categories of sannyasis. So you have the vaikanasas, the section of men who retire from active life and live on half-boiled meals. So the vaikanasas lives a secluded life in forest but may still maintain some family ties. They subsist on wild grains, half-cooked meals and fruits, and perform regular rituals and spiritual practices. So this is vaikanasas. What they do is they live secluded life in a forest, but they have family ties, which means that they're still related to the family. They still go and visit them, or the family members may come and visit. They may go and live for some time in the family also, but they retire from active life. And within even family life, like within the family, they will not eat what the other family eats. They eat very renounced kind of things. This kind of renunciation is not expected of devotees. Devotees just accept simple meals that are offerable to Krishna, because you can't offer half-boiled things to Krishna. He doesn't eat that. Instead, a devotee offers simple meals, very simple things, renounces things that they don't like to eat within grahastha life. Even though they have access to that, they start to restrict. They eat mostly fruits or things like that, whatever. They renounce, especially things that they don't like. In Smarta Brahmana culture, this is there, which is it's all a ritual these days. That at this age also, in Vanaprastha, one of the things Vanaprasthas like to do is go on pilgrimage. And when you go on pilgrimage in places like Kashi or I think Gaya, you go, you perform some oblations to forefathers and things like that. What you do, as in order to please your forefathers, you give up your favorite items of eating and you renounce it there. So you renounce your favorite vegetable, you renounce your favorite fruit, you renounce your favorite dish, you renounce, for the rest of your life, you renounce it there. And so you're supposed to do this at a certain age, and then, like my grandfather did that and would always complain, whine about it, that he couldn't eat it anymore, because he liked bindi, he liked okra, and he gave it up there, every time. But devotees don't have to, you don't need to go to Gaya and renounce it for the sake of your forefather, because they do it in a mundane way. They want to go up to the heavenly planets or whatever, but it's supposed to be part of Vanaprastha life. So devotees supposed to, yes, I won't take it. I'm attached to this. I offer it to Krishna, I cook for Krishna. I won't take it. I will eat something that is simple. And because he's in house, he can make arrangements for this also, because he still has family ties. So anyways, you have then the Valakilya, one who quits his former stock of grains on receipt of more. This is towards greater austerity. The Valakilya lives an even more solitary life, often without the company of their spouse, and may subsist on a more restricted diet. They practice strict penances and also meditation and things like that. So here the Valakilya, if he gets some grains, he won't store it anymore. He'll reject that. And so whatever he gets only he will eat. So you don't know what you're going to get. And you're just going to eat. Sometimes it may be something you like, sometimes it may be something you don't like, and you just subsist on that, finished. Then you have the Audambaras, one who lives on what he gets from the direction towards to which he starts after rising from bed. Just see how there's different kinds of renunciation. So which means that now by this time the Vanaprastha is actually Vanaprastha. He is no longer coming home. He is traveling right now. So he sleeps. He gets up, he's looking in one direction. Because when you get up, you don't know which direction you looked at. And so you get up and you look in one particular, and you're going in a different place every day. So when you go to a new place, the tendency is to look in different directions. Like, get up in a new place, you're like, it's not a place. When you wake up in the same room every day, in your bedroom, then you know, I know what's there. You get up in the same direction. But when you travel, you don't get up in the same direction. You get up in a different direction. You're curious. So the Audambara is so renounced that he will only walk in that particular direction that he saw when he woke up. And then whatever he gets from that direction, that's it. If in that direction there is house, in that direction no village is there, he starve. That's all. This is renunciation of that type of vanaprastha. And then you have the Penapa. This is quite amazing. The Penapa is one who lives on fruits which automatically fall from the tree. Another definition of Penapa is Pena. Does this ring a bell? Huh? Sorry? Pavarga. And what does it refer to? Foam. So the Penapa is also said to be some vanaprastha who is so renounced that he subsists on the foam of water and whatever he can gain from air. Basically, he is such a tapasvi that he is subsisting only on air. He doesn't eat anything. And there's another definition of Penapa, who lives on fruits which automatically fall from the tree. Why? Because it is rotting. And a rotting fruit, how does a rotting thing look? There's little bubbles in it. So Penapa. Because it's rotting. See, you get like a little buzz there. It's not a really good buzz, but there's a little buzz. Remember, we had once, we got very excited about fallen coconuts in Miami. So that we can't subsist on it. So the fallen coconuts had rotting coconut juice in it. And it was so bad. So that the Penapa subsists on something like that. So, interesting, isn't it? Anyways, then you have the sannyasis. You have the Kutichaka, the Bahoda, or it's also called as Bahoda, and then you have the Hamsa and the Nishkriya. So Srila Prabhupada, in his purports in other places and also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated, actually Prabhupada describes all of these divisions, just he lists them in his purport to Adi Leela, chapter 7, text 34, where it talks about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking sannyas. So he just lists all of these divisions that we're just reading here in the Bhagavatam. He doesn't really explain it. So the Kutichaka is a sannyasi who has a relatively milder form of renunciation. They continue to live near the family or in a hermitage built for them. While they have formally renounced worldly life, they still maintain some connection to their old life and family, accepting food and basic needs from them. This is the first step towards complete detachment. So this sannyasi, he doesn't live in the house. Sannyasi means you don't live in the house. He lives nearby and he doesn't meet his wife, because sannyasi means you never meet your wife. But he meets his other family members and they come and give him things. And he subsists on that. So this is Kutichaka. So he lives a kutir. Kutichaka. He's a kutir and he lives there. So he built himself a hut at the edge of the village and he his family members see him or whatever like that. So then you have the Bhagavoda, who gives up all material attachments and engaging fully in transcendental service. This Bahudaka is a sannyasi who exhibits a greater degree of detachment. They don't stay in one place, they don't rely on the family. So what they do, they don't really travel that much, but what do? They Bhagavoda. That is Bahudaka. Udaka refers to waters. And so they go to different water, meaning different households, and they beg. They go to different households and they beg, whatever they get, they accept. So they accept alms, they carry the staff, both the Kutichaka and Bahudaka carry this sannyas danda. And so when people realize, oh, sannyasi has come, okay, he's asking something, they have to give something. You have to give something because the sannyasi has come to your door. And they're not extremely advanced because they don't preach, they're not very knowledgeable yet, but they're interested, they're eager to develop that renunciation and develop more devotion and spiritual knowledge. In fact, in this regard, there is a story in Mahabharata. I think it's in the Mahabharata. So it shows how a woman can actually be greater than a Bahudaka sannyasi. Because there was a Bahudaka sannyasi who was very denounced in this and that, and there was a crane that happened to sit on top of a tree and pass stool on him. So the Bahudaka sannyasi became very angry and looked angrily up and the crane died. So then he goes to the village later and he begs for alms. So what happens? He's standing at the door And the wife says, oh, I see, I'll come back. I'll come. And then what happens? Just at that time, her husband enters the house. And because it's her wife, she's the dharma patni, she has to serve her husband. So her husband comes, she, speaks some nice words, gives him some place to rest, then feeds him. Because he's come, he has to take, after his day's work, he has to eat something. So she feeds him. So then she provides everything, and then she goes back, and this Bahudaka sannyasi is still waiting outside. And he's pretty upset, because he's been waiting for a while. And she comes out, and she gives. And then he looks really angrily at her. And she says, oh, don't think you can burn me like you burnt that crane to death. I'm a dharma patni, and my first duty is to serve my husband. Then is to come and give alms to you. Your duty is to wait. So this Bahudaka sannyasi, and just to give you an idea of what category this Bahudaka sannyasi is. Okay, then you have the Hamsa, fully engaged in transcendental knowledge. The Hamsa is also known as a Parivrajaka-acharya. So this person doesn't stay anywhere, and he wanders from place to place, and it said that he does not accept same alms from the household twice. This is the Parivrajaka-acharya. The Parivrajaka-acharya sannyasi, he goes around giving knowledge. He goes around distributing knowledge of Krishna. He's a preacher. And at this point, he doesn't carry the sannyas danda. Why? He's still supposed to be respected as a sannyasi. See, one of the reasons why sannyasis carry a sannyas danda, one is symbolic for their own understanding. The other is that people, when they see the sannyas danda, say, oh, sannyasi, Maharaj, and offer obeisances. But a Parivrajaka acharya has become known by the knowledge that he gives, and he is respected for that. And such a person does it. He says, oh, Maharaj is here. Immediately they recognize. It doesn't have to be a sannyas danda, but one who is not known, he carries the sannyas danda, so that people show that respect to him. So the Parivrajaka acharya sannyasi is respected on the basis of the knowledge that he gives. So he gives that knowledge, and he's a Parivrajaka acharya. And the word Hamsa is used because he has developed that ability to discern reality from illusion. So just like the swan takes milk from water, milk mixed with water, the swan can absorb the milk. So similarly, the Hamsa or the Parivrajaka acharya is already come to that platform where he's separating. Then you have the Paramahamsa. So you have the Hamsa, and then you have the Paramahamsa, or the Nishkriya sannyasi, who is Nishkriya sannyasi, who is the topmost, because he is the Paramahamsa. And what is a Paramahamsa? Stopping all kinds of activities, which means the Paramahamsa doesn't have any type of material desire at all. He's, in the Vaishnava sense, he's fully 100% dedicated. He has achieved the highest perfectional stage of life. He is a 100% dedicated servant of Krishna. And that is a Paramahamsa. Why? Because that Hamsa is not just able to separate, he relishes. He relishes. And so that because a Hamsa relishes playing within the lotus stems, between the lotus leaves and the lotus stems, and likes to hide. And the word is used because the lotus and the lotus stems are all compared to Krishna's lotus feet. And a Paramahamsa is one who's totally relishing the nectar emanating from Krishna's lotus feet. And he still preaches, still goes around, he doesn't travel, but he's totally renounced. And he cannot be tempted by material desires. There is no fall down for a Paramahamsa. Hamsa sannyasi is different. But there is no fall down for a Paramahamsa. So anyways, that is all I have to say. And all these divisions come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's actually more I have to say, but I won't say anything more. I'll end here. I'm going to have to end this class at about 8:45 because I have to have an appointment that I need to proceed to. So if there are any questions or comments, please be quick.
Just one point. Was thinking that sometimes people, there's glorification of those who are more renounced naturally, even in Shastra.
Yes.
But certain people get maybe fried out, why do you have to create this division? why is this person who lives in the farm higher than the other person who doesn't live in the farm? Because of this.
Yeah.
Shastra.
It's there.
It's there in Shastra. So it's very important for everyone to understand that there will be divisions in glorification even of a particular individual who is more renounced by others.
What's very important to note is that Prabhupada says that it is an institution established by Brahma from the beginning of creation. It is not a new invention of the modern age as proposed by the less intelligent. We're not inventing something. Oh, why are you creating all this? Why are you creating? Prabhupada didn't do this. You didn't create. I didn't create. Brahma created. It's like, it's an anomaly that these things don't exist. Yeah, we cannot artificially immediately establish, and they're not rigid either. They're ashramas, the spiritual advancement. But yes, we should understand who's more advanced, who's not advanced, and we should take we should take association of those who are more advanced. Why do you understand who's advanced and who's not advanced? Because if you don't know who to associate with, to make advancement in your own Krishna consciousness. It's very important to recognize devotees who are more advanced than oneself.
It's also encouraged to go in that direction, like even the brahmacharis, even the householders are encouraged to, don't be attached, renounce more, and so that it's important for us to remember as we progress in our Krishna consciousness, because it can go the other way real quick. Why do we have to say all these things? Why do we have to create these divisions? Why do we have to do all this? And then it loses the renounced platform of Krishna consciousness that we're meant to proceed towards.
Anybody has anything else? Yes, Jitagirish Prabhu.
You were mentioning that the śālīna grihasta. śālīna. I didn't have the diacritics on my phone.
Yeah.
But the śālīna grihasta is the kind of grihastas that will be on the farm, that they don't accumulate more than needed, but just
not actively ask anything from others, which means you accept what is provided.
So anyways, it's just a point of discussion for our farm community, because there's also the sañcaya grihasta who does accumulate some things for his descendants.
Yes.
I mean, one possibility could be that there's sañcaya grihastas on the farm that they don't accumulate money, but maybe they build some nice house and then they pass it down to their.
So,
instance like that.
When we see our farm communities will start off in a very simple form. It has to progress where all categories of varnas and ashramas exist. So it's not just the sañcaya, you will have the vārtā also. Right? But initially, this is going to be primarily a community of brahmanas who may engage in other occupations for the sake of demonstrating it. But if we artificially try to bring some of the mentality in, what happens is the community's entire goals and aims could be lost, and everything can become centered around money. So it's a careful, and it's difficult to say exactly how the transition will happen. But we have to first establish an agrarian-based lifestyle, which is not centered around money. Money is there, money is very important, and it's going to be there. It is going to be a factor on the farm, even on the farm. But the main thing is, devotees who are on the farm will have to understand that while, yes, there are householders who can live very opulently, obviously, if it's not practical for everybody to live opulently, and if that's going to be a focus, then the farm can't run. It's like, so when I say that the śālīnas are the ones who will live on the farm, this is primarily what we are going to see in our generation. I'm going to be honest with you. You see farm communities, you're going to see this. See Nandagram, see Kurmagram, you will see. These are śālīna grihastas, minimum. Yes, we have to introduce other things, but we have to be careful. Yes, they can build a house, leave it for their descendants, it is possible. How exactly ownership, how these things are going, it's a huge discussion, right? And these things have to be discussed, because ownership is allowed, but how? Without without completely scuttling the goals or the mission. So it's, and it can't be the time. We have to be willing to be patient and cautious, which means devotees should be on the Śālīna platform because you're willing to go both ways. We experiment with something, and then if it doesn't work, we have to be ready to pull back. No, how did you allow this? Now you're pulling it back. No, because it's affecting the mission. So you have to be, no, this is a bigger discussion. Okay, Matajis.
I had a couple of things. First was that I was listening to the questions and answers the Guru was giving in Czech Republic, and in there there was questions about brahmacharya, and so one of the points that he made was similar to how you were saying, if you see, like in the brahmacharya and Krishna consciousness book, if you see a brahmachari who's morose, even if he's been a brahmachari for decades, he's not really a brahmachari. That's what Guru Maharaj says there. And then also in terms of talking about the different types of sannyasis, it reminded me of, I was reading about how Lord Nityananda, he took Lord Chaitanya's staff and he broke it in multiple places. And, and so it reminded me exactly of that. And
because Supreme Lord Chaitanya is more than a Paramahamsa and did not deserve to carry the staff. So Nityananda Prabhu broke it.
Yeah, and then I had a question. It was actually in regards to the point and the question that Prabhu was just making about the expectations for śālīna. Is that the type of grahastas that you're saying? And so but it's very technical, but in the beginning stages of the Krishna Life Farm project, are you expecting these śālīnas to be completely dependent on the temple? So the temple would be funding them entirely from the start?
And as grahastas on the farm, yes. Yes, because that's how you have to start. How else would you start? That's our hope. You see, in Czech Republic, it's not practical. So they're having to work outside because they can't. But we have to see. The point is we need to do whatever is required. So we'll have to see. That's the ideal situation. In Nandagram, Kurmagram, devotees don't work outside jobs. But in Czech Republic, they're having to because it's hard to get funds there.
And it seems like a difference would also be, I'm seeing that the devotees at Navagokula in Czech Republic, they were all young grahastas, whereas in Nandagram, my understanding, is a lot of these grahastas, they were working previously, they had savings. These are established families.
Yes, but in Kurmagram, there are householders who don't. They're very simple, they're from village backgrounds, and they're doing very well, and they don't have anything. They don't need it because by Krishna's mercy, so many visitors are coming, they're distributing a lot of books, and that provides the income. So we have to see how it goes. Yeah, it's a big discussion and it's a work in progress. Okay, all right. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpa